Good morning, Long Island once again. I'm glad to see everybody here bright and early on the stream. We got a big one, big show, big information, a lot of it to go over today with you. Hey there, Kevin, why don't you say hello?
Good morning, my neighbors!
Good morning to everybody jumping in on the chat bright and early. Got a lot to talk about. There is an issue that I'm having on my personal Facebook page, so if you don't see it over there, that's okay. Head over to the Long Island Loud Majority Facebook page and jump on the stream there, or youtube.com/Long Island Loud Majority. You know, Facebook hates me.
Be sure to hit that follow button, like and subscribe on Facebook. Share this out with all your friends, guys.
Absolutely.
Smash that like button.
Smash the like button like
Smash
you've never
that
smashed
like
it.
button.
Smash that button. Give me that. Yes, I want you to smash the like button like you've never smashed it before, okay? Believe me. You have to smash it. You know, when you think about smashing things like smashing pumpkins, okay? Despite all my rage, I'm still just a rat in the cage when you think about it. Kevin almost spit out his coffee. That was close. That's close. Folks, we got some stuff. I have some stuff to talk about. There's two separate issues that we're going to talk about education-wise. Before we jump into that, Kevin, do you have anything that you want to get through before we jump into that? Just so before we get into this, is some heavy stuff.
Yeah, it's some heavy stuff. So we'll have some fun bright and early in the morning. Apparently, HarperCollins has pulled Chris Cuomo's forthcoming book.
Oh, gone. See you later.
Gone. See you later.
Bye, Fredo.
They've pulled his forthcoming book. The jury will start deliberating today in the Jussie Smollett case, which
Juicy Smollett,
which there's no telling how quickly they'll come back. They'll probably just walk into the jury room and go 1,000, 2,000. Guilty.
Juicy.
Yeah, no, it's so it could be a good day in the news world. We could have a lot to talk about on Friday.
Yeah. Kyle Rittenhouse also, I don't know if you guys saw the interview that he did with Blaze TV. I think, it was Blaze TV. He was on some sort of show, and they asked him about the LeBron James thing, and he was like, I used to be a fan of LeBron, and now I was just like, F you, LeBron. He actually cursed. It was great. He said the F word on the podcast.
On the podcast.
Yeah, so LeBron James.
It's so funny that Kyle Rittenhouse is telling off. And you know what's great about it is that I know someone showed him. Like, yo, LeBron, check this out. Little white boy.
He dunked on you.
Little white boy dunked on you.
You got dunked on by.
You got mossed.
You got mossed by Kyle Rittenhouse. You got Rittenhoused. So little stories there, and just keep your eyes on the news for a couple of things. They talk about Jussie, and they talk about inflation and all these. We have an issue brewing with Russia right now. Like, they might just invade Ukraine.
Yes, which would be very, very bad on the world stage.
Yeah, and it's not just that they might invade Ukraine, but also that we're talking about Biden getting on the phone with Vladimir Putin, right? Who? Come on, Vladimir Putin is afraid of this guy who crapped himself with the Pope.
I mean, Putin's got to be sitting there going, "Really, America? This is what you're sending me?"
Yes. I cannot wait to talk to Joseph Biden.
Yeah. if this guy was in charge during the Cuban Missile Crisis, there'd still be missiles in Cuba.
There'd still be missiles in Cuba.
But this has real world implications.
It does.
If
not funny.
If Putin takes Ukraine, any part of Ukraine, and we do nothing,
right?
What stops China from taking Taiwan?
And they're getting ready
or
to.
Japan.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, aren't we boycotting the Beijing Olympics? Isn't that racist? I think that's racist, isn't it?
I think that's racist.
I think so.
No, but it's funny. We're not boycotting it. We're just not sending diplomats. So it turns out the undersecretary of Domestic State Affairs won't be going to Beijing.
Got it.
Oh.
What a message.
What a win.
Message.
I bet you Xi Jinping, who, you can say it's right. Go ahead. Say whatever you want. The man looks like Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, boy. We're never going on YouTube again. He does. It's illegal to compare him to Winnie the Pooh?
Winnie the Pooh is banned in China because apparently Xi Jinping is insecure about his resemblance to our beloved Pooh Bear.
Yeah.
And he should be, because he looks just like him.
Yeah, Winnie the Pooh.
And I don't really care what anyone has to say about that. If there's assholes in the chat and you don't like that, pull up a side by side. Look, there's 1,000 things you could say I look like. I look like Elmer Fudd. I look like Chris Farley. All right? Xi Jinping looks like Winnie the Pooh.
Pancake.
I don't look like the kid.
Yeah. So you talk about Russia though, right? And how Putin's definitely not afraid of Joe Biden, and they're saying, well, we're going to slap them with the toughest economic sanctions that we've ever hit them with. It's funny because they've been made rich for the last couple months in the oil industry because we've shut down pipelines and sent everybody their way for business. So if Putin's like, well, you're going to slap sanctions on me, we're already cashed in. They're already killing it in the oil industry. What do they care?
Plus, I'm sure NATO is going to vote to bring Ukraine into the family of nations when Germany is getting rich off that Nord Stream 2 pipeline that Joe Biden approved.
Yes.
I'm sure that's what's going to happen.
Pipelines
I'm
over
sure
there.
The new German chancellor will be very excited to make his fuel prices rise just to appease Ukraine. I feel bad for Ukraine.
I feel bad for Ukraine.
Like, 100 years of Russians just doing whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, just messing around.
And, if Russia takes Ukraine, what's to stop Russia from going, Poland looks pretty good.
Russia. We're certainly supposed to be the ones that are like, well, look, I don't like being the world police, but at the same time, you do want to be able to kind of assert your influence in there and do that type of stuff. So, and make sure that type of stuff doesn't happen.
Well,
it's true.
This is what Reagan described as peace through strength.
Yeah.
You want to be the toughest, you want to be the strongest, biggest badass on the schoolyard without beating everyone up.
Right.
The bully is the insecure person
who
goes around and shows how tough he is. But really, the strongest one is the one who sits on the fence and says, I don't have to do this because I know him. But it's like you think UFC fighters go and get into bar fights? No,
of course not.
Of course not, because they know they would throw everyone a whooping if they really wanted to. So they got nothing to prove to people. That's the American strength that we want. The strength to say, look, here's why you're not going to do this. Because we will unleash fire and fury.
Fire and fury. Yeah. My button's bigger. That's what Trump said. That was peace through strength, and they said that was mean tweets.
Yeah.
But all I know is that mean tweets got us $1.79 gas, and I like that better. So we had $1.79 gas, a Russia that was not as wealthy. The tweets might have been mean, but there was no craziness going on the global stage. We were killing terrorists. We were putting Iran back in their place. We were keeping an eye on Russia. So we have, by the way, Nova Scotia is in the chat. So to Nova Scotia.
And hi, Kathy, for bringing up the pancake reference again.
Yes, but Nova Scotia, love you guys. Oak Island, that's my place. There's something buried there. They found they found gold on the show recently, so it's pretty cool.
Oh, Conor McGregor, another badass.
Yeah, McGregor is the one who.
Well, John's right. McGregor does go around beating the crap out of people at bars.
But that's McGregor does.
That's not because he's a UFC fighter.
Right.
That's because he's Irish.
Right. Yeah. It's just and he drinks.
And look, it's
and he's Conor McGregor.
It's a stereotype, but I'm English, and I can insult the Irish because it's only been 1,500 years.
Steve Cordes was kicked off of Newsmax, according to Don Mahoney. But listen, we're going to get to education because there's a lot to go over, and there's something that I want to make you guys aware of that's happening tomorrow, although it has been happening. I said in a Nassau County school district. I got off a Zoom call with them on Monday night. So folks in Nassau County, obviously Nassau County was involved big time in the red wave of 2021, where we saw Ann Donnelly and Bruce Blakeman, among other people, win their races in Nassau County as Long Island flipped back red. We've got NYSET. I've got NYSET propaganda here. A teacher who I have been speaking to was able to send me their newsletter. NYSET, we are in this together. But so we're going to read from this as well. We've got this. Okay.
So if there's any New York teachers union reps in the chat,
watching, we're going to talk about you today.
We're going to talk about you.
So we had NYSET. We've also got a situation that's been brewing in Rockville Center, and this is going to disturb a bunch of you. It's disturbed me, for instance. And, of course, a lot of these policies and these ideas came from their Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council. Of course, it always comes from these DEI committees, these equity committees. The Jen Bradshaws, the Shoshanas of the world who run these committees in these school districts, think they're doing the right thing by everybody. Oh, my goodness, we have to make sure there's equity. And then they go ahead and they tell you they don't know what equity means. And
that was fun at Mount Sinai.
It's a real disaster when you look at things like this. But here's how this happened, right? Here's what's going on in Rockville Center. So I've got an email, and I'm going to read it. It's a bit long, and I'm going to read it to you, though, and explain to you what's happening in Rockville Center. All right? They wrote a letter to the Board of Education. Dear members of the Board of Education, in response to your invitation to members of the school community to participate in establishing direction for the selection of the new superintendent of schools, we offer our thoughts below. In particular, we would like to join the dialogue created by the submission of a letter to the Board of Ed by the Rockville Center Diversity and Inclusion Council. So what happened here was they're looking for a new superintendent over in Rockville Center. And the DEI Council obviously is telling them who to pick, which means they're going to put a superintendent in there that is favorable and friendly to DEI. DEI, you guys know, is critical race theory. There's really no difference in the two policies, and we'll get to that because the teachers union in their pamphlet here, in their little propaganda book that they send to all their members, right? Now you read this, and I read this last night. It's all left wing information. This is all information that, you read it. It's something you would find on CNN. It's something you'd find on NPR. It's something you'd find in, the New York Times, right? So they're sending this to all their members. They're bragging about all these people. They're going to get elected, and we can do all this type of stuff. And by the way, there were no candidates that were listed in this. Where there's a page in this little propaganda book here. NYSUT pipeline helps unionists get elected. Yeah, they're all upstate. They didn't dare come down to Long Island because they knew after Smithtown that was a losing battle, and that would have been money that they were dumping into a race that had no chance. And that's because a wonderful bunch of patriots exist on Long Island, like yourselves, that wouldn't let their successes come to fruition. And I'm sorry, I don't know what's happening. I'm dying over here. Excuse me.
Goodbye, Sean.
But we're watching as Rockville Center is going ahead out right now and looking for a new superintendent. This is just the beginning of the Rockville Center scenario. The council, this is the DEI Council, asked that the school district, quote, revise our current hiring standards and recruit more teachers and administrations that are BIPOC. BIPOC. So we got a new word now.
BIPOC.
We believe that it is absolutely imperative to ensure that our hiring practices do not involve or tolerate discrimination of anyone on any basis whatsoever, and that the board should encourage teachers from a diverse group to apply for positions. Here we go again with hiring diverse teachers instead of good teachers.
Exactly. So the hiring practices do not involve or tolerate discrimination of anyone on any basis whatsoever. Right. I'm sure they'll have no problem hiring a Republican.
What does BIPOC stand for?
I know that...
POC is people of color.
Yeah, people of... I don't know what the first one is.
The BI, I have no idea.
Maybe it's like...
Brandon?
Indigenous
people of color.
I don't know. But speaking of words that don't make any sense, I forgot to say this at the top, not to cut you off, but did you hear that 2% of Latinos like to be called Latinx?
Oh, yeah. I heard that the 30% of Latino...
Black indigenous people of color.
Black indigenous people of color. So
what the hell does that mean?
So, by the way, now they're talking about hiring a BIPOC, which is a black indigenous person of color, and then at the same time they're saying no discrimination. Well, quite frankly, I don't see white people or Asians or anybody else except for, indigenous or black. But that's fine. Like, no discrimination, but we're going to instead favorably hire somebody that's a BIPOC? What on God's green earth?
Well, Asians are people of color.
No, they're not. They're white now.
Oh, if they're successful, they're
right.
white.
If they're successful, they're white.
Just like Jews. If they're successful, they're white.
If blacks are successful, they're white too. Larry Elder, there was things I said about him, whatever, but he's a successful man. There's no doubting that.
Yes.
He's an Uncle Tom. He's the black face of white supremacy. Winsome Sears, the Jamaican, she's Jamaican, or she's,
first generation.
Right? She served the United States.
Yes.
Okay. She's the black face of white supremacy.
My future wife, Candace Owens.
Oh, I thought you were saying Winsome Sears was your future wife.
No, my future. I mean, I'm sure Candace Owens' husband might have other.
He has other plans.
He has other plans,
yes.
But I'm selfish. I'm really not going to take his feelings into account.
Yeah, he's got other plans, but that's funny. But listen, again, she has been somebody who has been called a white supremacist.
Do you want the cap on too?
No. Yes. Yes. So it's fine. We would encourage the board to review the research data on the effectiveness of anti-bias and unconscious bias training before taking any action. We would ask the board to reflect on its goal before choosing any training courses, whether optional or mandatory. Is the goal to equip our teachers with the tools necessary to identify discriminatory behavior? What action, if any, is needed to accomplish?
We support the examination of disciplinary data to determine if any inherent discrepancies between disciplinary action taken against some students but not others are rooted in or based in any sort of discrimination, whether overt or nuanced. Discrimination should not be permitted, nor should it be presumed. We agree with all these things. Okay, we agree with all these things, but this is a letter. We're seeing a letter that was written to the Board of Education in Rockville Center regarding their superintendent search. And again, you're watching school districts hiring based on skin color, not qualifications or the ability to educate. It is the job of our educators to educate, right? It is the job of our teachers to teach, not indoctrinate, not push an agenda, nothing like that. It is the job of our educators to educate first and foremost. And what we're dealing with now, instead of them focusing on quality educators, they're focusing on the skin color of their educators to meet certain diversity statistics. Now statistics matter more than the success of your students matter, more than the success of your kids matter, more than the safety of your kids matter. A lot of these things that they tell you they don't want to talk about discrimination. Meanwhile, skin color is the first thing, the very first thing that these people look at. The very first thing that these people look for are skin color related issues. This is a problem. That in and of itself is racism, folks. When you start making decisions based off of, first and foremost, the color of somebody's skin, their ancestry, their heritage, their race, their religion, whatever, if their last name ends in a vowel, whatever it is, right? When you start making decisions based on that and not based on the quality of individual, the quality of their, ability to teach, the content of their character, you are falling into the trap that the racists want you to fall into. They want everybody to see color. They want everybody to make decisions based off of whether you're black, white, brown, Hispanic, Asian, African American, whatever. They want you to make decisions based off of that because that creates more division. And division makes it easier for the people to be controlled. And so you're watching that now. This is not the only thing here. Excuse me. This is not the only sick thing that's happening in Rockville Center. And this is just what we're going to lead off with. But Rockville Center right now, if any of you guys know what's happening over there, and there is a board meeting tomorrow, Rockville Center School District, okay? And there is a board meeting tomorrow at the Southside High School, 7:30 p.m. in Rockville Center. I would encourage any and all people to support what these parents are going to be saying over in Rockville Center. Okay? So what we have now taking place in Rockville Center is disgusting. Make no mistake over there. Make no mistake. What did I just say about Rockville Center? What did I just say about what's very important about what they were doing with race? It's all about division, right? It's all about having the ability to divide people, to break them up by skin color. They're doing all of this again, and this time they're doing it by vaccination status. The only district in Long Island, folks, that is doing something like this, and it's disgusting. At their concerts, chorus, band, whatever it is, they are segregating the vaccinated parents from the unvaccinated parents, okay? If they're checking your vaccine status when you walk into these events and telling you, okay, you're vaccinated, you can sit over on the left side with everybody else, no social distancing, but if you're not vaccinated, you've got to spread yourselves out despite walking into the building if you know the person. You can't sit with anybody if you're not vaccinated within a certain distance between each other. They're the only district doing that. This is straight up segregation, and the parents in Rockville Center are terrified that watching these practices implemented on adults and parents, they are terrified that this is going to be implemented in the schools with their kids, okay? And when you have a bill like A8378, which I always keep nearby, because it's a painful reminder that the swamp in New York State is real, because we still haven't heard any Republican leadership come out and say anything about this bill, because they don't care. It's that simple. They couldn't care less. All right, they're getting a paycheck and that's it. I want to hear some people stand up and say we're gonna vote this bill down. We've heard Mario Matera say a few things. He's really the only guy that I've heard.
Yeah, Mario's the only one I've heard come out and
he's not happy about it.
No. Well, I tell you, there's one thing I know: you don't piss off a union plumber.
No.
Mario is not. He certainly doesn't hide how he feels, and that's that's why I love Mario.
Right. He's honest. So
But, this whole thing with it's segregation. That's it. There's no other way to spin it. There's no way to say it. One group of people sits on this side of the room. The other group of people sits on this side of the room. It's a good thing we don't have public water fountains anymore. So what? When all the kids can start to become vaccinated, or what? We're going to have certain kids sit in certain areas of the bus?
Or what, are they going to segregate the lunchroom again?
They're going to segregate the lunchroom? I mean, a lot of people, when all this crap started, said, oh, it's a slippery slope. You never know where's it's going to go.
If you said it was a slippery slope, you were labeled what? Oh, conspiracy theorist. You're a racist. You're a super spreader.
Happy day 487,000 of 15 days to slow the spread.
Today is day 633 of 15 days to slow the spread, I believe.
Yeah, so, you got Big Bird in New York City screwing up New York City on his way out the door.
Yep.
You got Rockville Center segregating parents based on vaccination status. If there's any liberals out there watching this, and I ran into a huge liberal friend of mine the other day. I went to high school with him. He's yelled at me quite often on Instagram and Facebook. Got word that apparently he's starting to come around.
Oh boy,
he's starting to come. He's starting to go. Wait a minute. All right, something's going on with this vaccine crap.
What do you know?
It turns out after variant number 4,
right. And booster number 9.
And segregation in the schools. And, what better way to get a kid bullied in school?
Right.
Than
to disclose whether he's vaccinated.
Than to disclose his medical charts.
Yep.
I mean, what are we doing here? And now we're starting to hear stories come out of places, not so much on Long Island, places nationally, that they're vaccinating kids without parental consent.
Oh, yeah.
When I was in high school, you needed parental consent to get an aspirin. An aspirin. Now they're going to vaccinate you without parental consent? You're 8-year-old?
Yep, because he walked in and rolled a sleeve up?
Because he walked in. I mean, what 7-year-old is going to defy their teacher when it comes to, hey, everybody's doing it, At what point does the left, do those who think that we are terrible people,
yep,
look at us and go, wow, you were right all along?
Yep.
At what point does that happen? We saw a lot of people start coming around after Rittenhouse, who said, wait a minute.
That is self-defense.
I've been lied to.
Right.
Big names on the left. Anna Kasparian, who I hate.
Right.
I loathe that woman and her fat co-anchor, Cenk Uygur.
Oh, reasonable.
Young Turks, the worst network on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
People are starting to come around to say, wait a minute, something here is not what I've been being told. Something here is not happening right. And I think Rockville Center is going to be a huge, huge wake-up call to a lot of people.
And this is
because they just pushed too far.
Right.
If they had just stayed at a 5, no one would have noticed.
Right.
But they had to go to a 9.
Right.
And that's what the left does. That's why we give an inch, they take a mile. That's why we can never give any ground on any of our policy prescriptions.
No more ground.
Whether it's guns or abortion or any of these topics, because we give a little and they want a little bit more.
Yep. Every time.
Every single time. We agreed as a society. All right, you know what? We'll stay home for 2 weeks.
Right. We're on day 633.
Day 633.
Yep.
At what point does this end? It's never going to end. It's never ending. And they want it to keep ending because that way they have more power. These prissy mothers from South Rockville Center who are stuck on this school board, who have no power in their home lives and probably got kicked out of the Cub Scouts for being a little too overzealous,
yep,
are now, now we can make decisions for the school and we can do this and we can segregate parents based on medical status. What if they were segregating them on sexual preference?
Right. What if there was anything else besides a vaccine? And they say it's in the matter of public health, right? It's a matter of public health. This is to keep you safe. And again, this is what they hide behind. This is to keep you safe. There is no evidence that this keeps anybody safe. We know that the vaccinated spread the disease. I'm not telling anybody to get vaccinated or not to get vaccinated. I'm telling you to make your own choice. I'm telling you, though, as parents, if you've got kids, and Long Island, I don't think we're going to have this issue, but with regards to kids getting vaccinated without parental consent, you got to have that conversation with your children because there's no way to undo a vaccination, right? You can't just Control Z that thing and whoop, we're just going to remove those spike proteins that you got stuck in you there, right? So there's no way to undo that. Once you're vaccinated, you're vaccinated. We don't know the long-term effects, and so you got to make your decisions accordingly. But the bottom line here is, yes, they are segregating parents based off of medical status. They are checking at the door. They're going to be and they've been doing this. This is not something that they plan on doing. This is something that's already being done. And so it is the parents of Rockville Center right now, and there's a very large number of them, and they are very well organized, as I was on a call with them on Monday, want to make this aware, not just to the board, but to everybody, okay? And so what I'm asking is that there is support tomorrow. Support. And I want you to understand what I mean by support. What I'm asking is that there is support tomorrow at the Rockville Center School Board meeting. That's at Southside High School in Rockville Center at 7:30 p.m., okay? And now when I say support, we don't want to get clownish. We don't want to overshadow the message here, because this is why it's important. If this continues to happen in Rockville Center and another district looks at what they're doing in Rockville Center, and that district can be in the state or that district could be someplace else in the country, and they look and they say, oh, well, you know what? They were doing this at their school concerts. They were separating the vaccinated from the unvaccinated. Why don't we give that a shot? But why don't we do that at lunch? And they start doing that with the kids. And now you're back to segregation in the schools, right? And this has nothing to do with politics, folks. This is not political in the slightest. Right? You're dealing with segregation in the schools.
I mean, it is a well-known fact.
Possibly, if they get to that point.
Among people who discuss constitutional law, that Brown versus Board of Education, separate but equal, was one of the dumbest laws ever put forth in American history. One of the worst Supreme Court cases, because one cannot be different and equal at the same time.
It can't happen.
And, not for nothing, but high school's tough enough. You really want to be going out of your way to separate kids more? Everyone remembers how cliquey high school was.
Yep.
All that mean girl crap. You think it's going to get even worse for some kid? Maybe he comes from a rough home life and he's not vaccinated and he's getting picked on by the jock who is vaccinated. You're going to see more violence in the schools. You're going to see more bullying. You're going to see more problems. And the school is bringing this on themselves.
And not to mention, but they are also in these schools, we know we've seen examples of it, telling people why the vaccination is good. So they have this idea in their mind, these kids, that getting vaccinated is a good thing, and if you're not vaccinated, that's a bad thing. And so if that's a stigma that goes around the school, that if you're not vaccinated, that's a bad thing, and there are kids that are not getting vaccinated for whatever reasons they may have. Their parents don't want to get them vaccinated. They don't want to get vaccinated, whatever. It's their choice, their body, their choice, right? Right? That's what we were supposed to be told. I don't like saying it, but it's true. It's their choice to do what they want to do, especially with regards to vaccines, right? So if they're being told in school, they're being told through the mainstream media, they're being told on social media, you see all the posts that maybe raise some speculation. Like I said yesterday, the Clintons have killed more people than the Omicron variant, but there's no vaccine or therapeutic for close exposure to Bill or Hillary, right?
Yes, there is. His name's Donald Trump.
Oh, that's true. But, there's no way to, listen, when you have posts like that are, kind of questioning the vaccine, it gets censored, less people see it on social media, et cetera, et cetera. So the message is being implanted in these kids' head that vaccination is a good thing. Getting vaccinated is a good thing. It's your duty. It's your part. And so now if these kids aren't getting vaccinated, and if they implement this segregationist crap into the schools and start separating based off of vaccination status, you are going to wind up seeing people getting bullied, people getting picked on, kids who are unvaccinated being, treated as if they're second-class or third-class citizens. It's not healthy. It's divisive. It's in my mind evil, and it's predatory, and it's dangerous for these schools and for these kids.
And not to mention, you don't think there's going to be some radical teacher out there who's going to impact some student's grade?
Oh, yeah.
Because they're not vaccinated?
You don't think that's going to
You don't think a guy like Mark Jacket in Smithtown is going to look at a kid who's unvaccinated and dock him points, maybe affecting his college application because he's not vaccinated? That radical, that asshole in Smithtown? Hi, Mark. I know you're watching. You don't think that's going to happen? Of course it's going to happen. And when we went to the Dix Hill School Board meeting, there was a doctor there talking about the wonders of masking and how we're going to...
I don't know where he got his masking.
I don't know where he got it from. Oh. But I just looked at him straight in the face. I was like, all right, let me ask you. I was a high school wrestler. You going to make wrestlers wear masks? And he just looked at me, confused. Well, why would they have to wear masks? Well, you don't get any closer than wrestling.
No.
There's no sport where you get closer than wrestling. You're right up against each other's face. You don't get any closer. You're going to make wrestlers wear masks. And he looked at me and just didn't have an answer. And I'm like, you're a doctor. I am a truck driver. Why can't you answer that question?
Right.
Maybe you should give your degree back.
Right.
Or, and here's another thought, you could shut up.
Right. You can just stop spouting now because you want to talk about misinformation and the dangers of misinformation. When you start, whether it's you go around and say the vaccine's killing people, which it might be, but it's not the plan of the vaccine. We've gone through that entire thing before. Whether it's that or it's you going around telling people that masks work. Well, we know masks don't work because it was supposed to be 15 days. If masks work, we wouldn't have made it to day 633.
And guys, here's what else is important about Rockville Center. If you're not from there, if you're from, the North Shore of the North Shore of Suffolk, we have to support each other here.
Yes.
We have to support each other. Those Smithtown School Board elections that we won earlier in the year, people came out from everywhere.
Yes.
Look, I know Rockville Center is far for a lot of people.
Look at that.
If you can make it down, make it down.
Yes.
People they need the support of the Long Island community, of the mother community. This is all one island, and we all live here together. And look, let's be honest. If this crap is allowed to go on in Rockville Center, it's coming to a school near you.
Well, I mean, you see what Leah Fitz is saying in the chat here. Middle Country Central School District has already has substitute teachers, asking students if they're vaccinated.
Well, that's Middle Country, and they are run by
Karen Leslie.
By one, if not two, of the worst people on planet Earth.
Yes.
Don't worry, soon we won't have to deal with them anymore.
Yes, we won't have to
It'll
deal
be
with them.
fun to beat two people.
Well, Karen's her seat's not up for 3 years.
Oh, her seat's
unfortunately.
not. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, the other one.
But Dawn, I think, is
Dawn,
up. Yeah.
I would love nothing more than to beat one person twice in the same year.
That would be yeah, because who'd she lost to? She lost to Nick Caracappa. She got smoked.
She got smoked.
She got smoked.
She got smoked by quite frankly,
The Hulk.
The Hulk. The Hulk.
Big dude.
Have you guys ever seen Nick Caracappa?
He's jacked.
He's terrifyingly jacked. The man is huge.
The man is huge.
I'm like, I look at him and I'm like, I'm not a man. I'm
Yeah.
a small boy.
Nick Caracappa is ripped.
He's ripped. Guy posted a picture on Facebook the other day. I was like, yo, if I had saw that before the election, I would have worked a lot harder on your run, you giant man.
But he's a good man, though.
He's a great.
We do love Nick.
The guy's got one of the nicest people I've ever met in politics. Got like an infectious smile.
Oh, yeah.
And 47-inch biceps.
And he's also a very nice guy.
Very nice guy.
We're happy with him. But hey,
I would love to beat his opponent twice in 1 year.
Yes. I would love to actually let his opponent not get beaten by him physically. Not that he would ever do anything to Dawn.
No.
But I'm just saying he's a big dude and he's kind of scary. But he's a good guy. He's a good guy. But anyway, you look at it happening already in Middle Country Central School District. As Kevin had just said, we have to support each other. When we flipped Smithtown, it was an effort from people inside and outside of Smithtown. If you can get to Rockville Center, Southside High School tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. for the board meeting. Now, again, I want to stress something. There is no reason at all for any attendees at this meeting to give the board a reason to end the meeting early. I want you to understand something really well. And then I'm going to move on to some of the nicest stuff in a minute. But the meeting in Rockville Center tomorrow night, it's very important for these parents that they are allowed to be heard. And there are a bunch of them that are going to speak. And I'm sure there's going to be moments where somebody's going to say something and you're going to want to say something back. That's not what we're there for, okay? We are there to occupy that room, right? Sit there nicely. We're there to sit. We're there to listen. We're there to participate if we have to. But this is not a place for us to get out there and going crazy. We're going into the meeting. We're sitting down at the board meeting where apparently at board meetings they don't have to segregate vaccinated from unvaccinated. But in school concerts and things like that, they've got to segregate
It's almost like
unvaccinated.
one giant virtue signal.
That's exactly what it is.
It's almost like we're going to appease
and you know why
the lunatics in the room.
You know why I think they're doing it too? They're doing it at these concerts because they're doing it in front of the kids.
Exactly.
I think they're doing it in front of these kids so that the kids, when they're looking out into that audience, see that gap where there's one side of the room is all sitting together and the other side of the room is sitting all sparsely populated and scattered about. And that's going to put that message in the minds of the kids that, oh, we need to get vaccinated so that we can continue to be with our friends. That is bull crap. I hate that, and that's exactly why they're doing this with the kids and not the board meetings. It's garbage. This is complete and utter garbage. But please, if we get to when you go to Rockville Center tomorrow, when you're in this board meeting, don't get caught up. Don't shout. Don't scream. You must remain composed. We cannot through people attending or whatever. Even, I mean, look, I love what happened. I believe it was Connecticut, where a bunch of parents decided they were going to wear red and they showed up with FJB shirts. I would even, because I know there might be media there tomorrow, I would even leave those home. Maybe you want to wear your loud majority gear. Let's keep all the profanity. Let's keep all of the potential negative ammunition that we can give the media and give our detractors. Let's keep that out of the scene tomorrow. If you're going to this meeting, stay peaceful, stay composed, stay professional. Give them nothing they can say, because you know how the media does it, right? You heard, well, the Long Island Loud Majority, the SPLC is investigating the Long Island. They haven't got the call yet from them.
Yeah, haven't gotten the call. Haven't gotten
the FBI is investigating your involvement in February. No, they're not. I haven't gotten a damn call yet. It's almost a year removed from that event.
Honestly, when they said that we're being investigated, and by the Southern Poverty Law Center, which has been thrown in our face by idiots several times, I don't know how you investigate somebody without, checking in on them.
Right.
I don't know how, I don't know I don't know how you do that. No one's looking into us. We're not doing anything wrong. We are exercising our rights as Americans, and we need to be there in solidarity with these parents.
Right.
After the meeting, when we go outside, then you can run buck wild to each and every one of us, yelling, what the hell was that? What did she say over here? This one, that one.
Absolutely.
But if you give them a reason to shut down this meeting,
they're done.
They're going to shut down the meeting, and then the parents in that community, the ones who are going to be affected by this, will not be able to be heard by their particular school board. And that is what the school board is looking for. If you give them a bullet, they will use it.
Right.
We cannot give them any ammunition.
Exactly.
No ammunition. We have to just sit there, and we have. It's almost like a silent protest.
Yeah, it is a sit-in. It's a sit-in.
It's a sit-in.
We're going to sit there
to show this school board that these Rockville Center parents are not alone.
And it's also to show the school board, too, that there are parents from other districts waiting and hoping and praying with their fingers crossed that this does stop, because they don't want to see it happen in their districts. That's why it's important. If you're from West Babylon, if you're from Lindenhurst, if you're from Comac or Kings Park or Smithtown, or anywhere, Belmore, Merrick, Wantagh, anywhere. I can name all the districts on Long Island. I don't want to do that right now, but if you're from any of those towns, right, any of those school districts, and you don't want to see this happen, and you do go to this meeting tomorrow, that's the message that school board has to be sent over in Rockville Center, that no, guys, you don't want to be the reason why this becomes the new normal, right? But you will be the reason. You will blaze that trail if this continues. And it's not just going to stop with parents, and because we've seen this. We've seen this happen. It's a trial run. It's a test run. And now all of a sudden, you've segregated parents, and you've shown that to the kids at their concert. And that looks like the normal thing to do. So when they implement that in the schools, the kids are going to go, well, we saw this happen at the concert. I better just go get vaccinated. Ma, let me go get the jab. I want to be with my friend at lunchtime. Imagine living in that world where we're this close to that right now, this close.
You mean to tell me that, come on, there are 5-year-olds out there who have been programmed, as long as they can remember, that when you go into a place, you have to put a mask on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not like some sort of evil cabal conspiracy. There's people out there, Bill Gates, all this crap. You have a 5-year-old do something for 2 years. That's half their life. Half their life they've been wearing masks. So you think that if you program these people to think that people who are unvaccinated are somehow filthy, there's something wrong with them, that they're not going to see that going through the rest of their lives? We cannot allow this to stand. And Rockville Center, I'm sorry to say, just pushed too hard.
Way too hard.
Way too hard.
Went too far.
They went too far. They wanted to be first on the island to do this ridiculous thing, and now they'll be the first on the island to feel the blowback.
And they're going to feel a big blowback, and I know that, again, the parents are going to be peaceful. Anybody who comes into support are going to be peaceful tomorrow. That's very important to remember, to please, if something gets you upset, get up and walk out and cool off outside and then come back in, okay?
Please
don't make a scene tomorrow. Look, there are times where I go to school board meetings just to sit there and not say a word, okay? It just because I told a parent or I told a group or I told somebody, I'm coming, right? But I'm not going to go there and I'm not going to speak. It's not my place. It's not my district, but I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to help you. And we've done that for parents before. We've gone to Smithtown. We've gone to Comac. We've gone to Lindenhurst. We've gone to West Babylon. We've gone to Islip. We've gone to Connecticut. We've gone to Middle Country. We've gone to all these Wantagh, Belmar, where we haven't said anything, but we're there to support. We're there to help. We're there to listen. We're there to see for ourselves what exactly is going on. And that is what, if you're not from Rockville Center tomorrow, but you want to make sure this doesn't happen in your district, you're going to go there, you're going to sit there, you're going to watch it, you're going to see for yourself, you're going to support, you're going to talk to the Rockville Center parents who do get up to speak tomorrow. Network with them. Show that, shake their hands after the meeting. Talk to them after the meeting. You'll be able to tell who these people are. They're going to be speaking. Right? And I've heard what some of them plan to say. And it's excellent. It's direct. It's to the point. It's well written. It's composed. It's professional. It's powerful. It's a great thing that these folks have planned. And I really do, that we will be able to pull this off tomorrow by going there and just being peaceful, being supportive. It's going to be a positive on our end, because there are going to be people on the other side of the aisle that want to make us look awful tomorrow.
And look, guys, they're up there, because we brought up a specific school board, there will be people there who come to antagonize.
Yes.
We can't leave the house without certain people, hi, Robbie, coming around.
Racist Robbie
Ray.
I haven't seen him in a while, ever since he got branded.
I'm sure he's in the chat somewhere.
He's in there.
Or the angry cat lady.
Crazy Lisa.
Yeah. I'm sure there's going to be people that will come and just specifically antagonize. Look, if I can sit there and be called all sorts of nonsense names by morons.
And it's not nice names.
Not nice names.
White supremacy, Nazi, all this other crap.
If we can be called that in a public setting because we know it's not true, and sit there and eat it, and believe me, I don't take that crap lightly.
No.
But if we can sit there and take that, we need you guys just to remain composed if you're going to come to Rockville Center. Things are going to piss you off, and I know nobody's trying to censor anybody. Nobody's telling anybody you can't say that. But if you're there to support, you're there to support. When it's your school board, when it's your time, those parents will be there for you.
And they'll be the same way.
As we will be there supporting you at your particular school board when you have a ridiculous teacher teaching DEI, or when you have a scandal like we saw in Babylon High School that got covered up for years.
Right.
Or we see a member of Antifa teaching your children. We will be there supporting you silently, letting the school board know you keep screwing around, watch what happens.
Exactly. And it's something that it will mean a lot to me. It'll mean a lot to a lot of parents. If you can get out there, support Rockville Center tomorrow. Yes, I also see, and I don't want to come across that I'm ignoring anybody, I see that West Islip has an important meeting tomorrow too. So if you guys are way out on the east end and you don't want to drive all the way to Rockville Center, head over to West Islip. But the Rockville Center meeting is the one that I was made aware of because of this vaccine segregation that's going on for parents so far. It's not with kids yet.
If you guys think they're not doing this on purpose, if you guys think they're not planning these school board meetings on the same days purpose,
of course,
to divide us so that we can't come together and coalesce around one particular district each day of the week, that's exactly what they're doing.
So now I want to go through some of this NICET stuff that we've got because this is interesting. Now, I'm not supposed to have this. It's not illegal that I have it, but this is supposed to go to union members only. So apparently somebody, a patriot, a dedicated person who has been helping us get information before, has given us this NICET propaganda. We're in this together. This is their newsletter, their November to December newsletter. So it's their most recent edition here. And I just want to let you know where this union, where the teachers union stands, because it says it right in here, and this is what all the members get, right? So that you know when you hear that the union is backing a candidate, that the candidate probably falls in line with these same issues, because this union likes to flex its muscles that it can win elections. Well, I want to make sure that the residents in those districts know that the people that are winning elections also probably believe half the crap that is in here. All right, so here's an article by Ned Hoskin. And Ned Hoskin, by the way, if you look on Twitter, is someone who believes Kyle Rittenhouse should be in jail. All right, so just letting you know, he tweeted, Rittenhouse, another day, another travesty, right? So apparently what Rittenhouse did was supposed to be treated as illegal to Ned Hoskin, who wrote this article here in this NICET newsletter. After a long summer of waiting for the state of New York to provide guidance on how to safely reopen schools this fall, newly installed Governor Kathy Hochul finally cut bait and told P to 12 schools what they needed to do. Her Department of Health plan called for mass vaccination of educators and staff and regular testing for those who declined inoculation. She also mandated masks for students and staff in buildings and continued social distancing. While the reactions in communities across the state varied drastically, NYSET supported the guidance, which closely followed the federal CDC recommendations already in place. Only days after she took office, following the resignation of Andrew Cuomo, what a brutal couple of months it's been for that family. The last thing left is the Tappan Zee. Chris Cuomo's gone. Andrew Cuomo's gone. I want the Tappan Zee.
Janelle, that's pretty funny.
I want the Tappan Zee.
You see that? Oh, my God, I'm dying laughing. We will support you silently. From the loud majority.
That's true. Well, you gotta pick and choose, right?
What are you gonna do?
Only days after she took office, following the resignation of Andrew Cuomo, Governor Hochul took decisive action to bolster health and safety in our schools, said NYSET President Andy Pallotta. The union supports universal mask wearing as part of a layered mitigation strategy that also includes robust COVID-19 testing, contact tracing, proper ventilation, and other strategies recommended by public health experts. Notice that. They're not naming people, they're just throwing that term around. Who's experts? Only they're experts. It also supports regular COVID-19 testing for school staff who are not vaccinated. Most importantly, it is critical that educators continue to have a voice in the implementation of vaccine requirements. Hello? Didn't we just say that? That these teachers are going to start to weigh in and push for vaccinations and how that might impact your kids in the schools? So here's the union supporting that kind of crap. Most importantly, it's critical that the educators continue to have a voice in the implementation of vaccine requirements and other COVID policies at the local level. Okay? That's from Ned Hoskin. There's plenty more here. I can't link it in the show notes because I'm not supposed to have this, but I do because thank you so much. And here's Boca in the group.
I was laughing at that one.
Lee Zeldin is going to change the name of the Tappan Zee back to the Tappan Zee.
And if anyone would know...
It's that person in the chat.
It's that person in the chat.
I'm not doxing her, though. Everyone knows who that is. But I'm not going to dox her. So that's just from there. So the union supports universal masking. That's not me being speculative. That's not me being a conspiracy theorist. It says the union supports universal mask wearing. Okay? So now you flip forward in this propaganda article, and it says NYSET pipeline helps unionists get elected. And they go through a list of about 7 candidates, and they did pretty well in the November election, 7-1. We did a little better. That's okay. They played around with a couple of incumbents. We did more of the flipping of the seats, but that's okay too. The union, I'll tip my hat to you guys. You got your people elected, but you didn't do it here on Long Island, did you? You couldn't get them elected in Smithtown. You didn't get them elected in any of those red wave districts, right? NYSET. So, yeah, you keep playing around upstate. Don't worry. We'll be up there too soon, and we'll get that going. By the way, I want to shout out to North Carolina. I don't know if this guy's listening or not, but Gavin Neese, hilarious on Twitter, but also a really, really passionate patriot down in North Carolina. He's going to start getting some things involved. I was talking to him late last night on the Twitter DM. Cool kid. Just graduated college, and he's got a good head on his shoulders, and he knows the truth about Dan Crenshaw, which is nice. The rhino who voted for the vaccine database. Yeah, Dan Crenshaw. As far as I'm concerned, he should just switch parties. Vaccine database, really?
Oh, I didn't even notice.
Yeah, I switched to you.
Oh, yeah, no.
He's
thrown out there for a little bit.
He wasn't ready for that. But here we are in the
Jesus Christ, this coffee is so weak.
No, it's not. What are you talking about? I'm flying.
This coffee is so weak.
No, stop. Were you a bugging?
Colored water.
It's not colored water. Water of color, first of all. You want to be, let's please be sensitive.
BIPOC water. It's BIPOC water.
It's black, indigenous, or coffee of color. Well, we don't want to say that word.
You know what? I'll say it again.
Don't say it.
Xi Jinping.
Winnie the Pooh.
Looks like Winnie the Pooh.
Higher ed. Okay, here we go. So now
it's not because of any sort of color. It's because they have fat cheeks, like me.
Now we're going to go to the big one. There's an article here. Okay.
We need more coffee.
It's an article here. Teach the Truth. This is by a wonderful person by the name of Kara Smith. And she's going to tell you the truth about diversity, equity, and inclusion, folks, because you don't know the truth. You can't handle the truth. You don't know the truth about DEI. That guy Sean on social media, that guy Kevin, that group Loud Majority, they don't know the truth. They have no idea what they're talking about, right? That's what they want you to believe. That's what this is all about. Watch, there's some implications. There's some kind of low-key jabs that they're throwing at us in this little article because they don't like us, and it's okay. Teach the truth. Getting the facts about diversity, equity, and inclusion. The term critical race theory, isn't it funny? Isn't it funny? Every time you mention diversity, equity, and inclusion, they have to start off with those three words, critical race theory. Every single time. Do you remember in the BOCES training, the first speaker in the training where they were training district administrators across Long Island? Do you remember his name, Alan Singer? What the first thing that those administrators heard about in that training was critical race theory? Right? Candy wrapper. What it says on the outside of the candy wrapper is what you're going to be eating. What it says on this water bottle, I don't know if I'll get in trouble for it. It's got a brand on it with a green label and it's spring water. We know that it's water. I'm not going to be drinking beer. Well, that's the same thing as Bud Light. I can't get drunk on Poland Spring either. Whoops, I said the name of the brand. But every single time they want to talk about DEI, they have to talk about CRT. It's always the first thing they talk about. It's always the way they frame DEI. So here it is again from the teachers union. This is very important. From the teachers union, the term critical race theory is everywhere these days, dominating school board meetings, making headlines, and inspiring vigorous debate in many communities. The issue has many educators wondering, what exactly is CRT and how does it impact my teaching? The answer is simple. It doesn't. Of course it doesn't. They're going to tell you it doesn't exist. CRT isn't a subject taught in the K-12 curriculum, despite what anti-public education... That's the way they refer to us now. Anti-public education pundits. Anti-public education pundits, okay? The term CRT, CRT isn't a subject taught in K-12 curriculum despite what anti-public education pundits would have you believe. It's an obscure academic concept that has been around for nearly 50 years. It centers on the idea that race is a social construct that's embedded into our legal systems and policies. In an article published by the American Bar Association titled, quote, A Lesson on Critical Race Theory, author Janelle George sums up CRT as, quote, the work of progressive legal scholars seeking to address the role of racism in the law. The next sentence here in this article is hysterical, makes me crack up, makes me die laughing. That's hardly a topic addressed in the average K-12 classroom. Oh, okay. All right, good. So no worries, anybody. Oh, but except if you go to the April 12th statement, it's so funny they put this stuff online. So let's go back to how they just defined CRT. The work of progressive legal scholars seeking to address the role of racism in the law. CRT centers on the idea that race is a social construct that is embedded into our legal systems and policies. Okay? Now, here we are, April 12th, Lester Young, the Board of Regents. New York State develop policies that advance diversity, equity, and inclusion as a priority in their schools. The board, this is the Board of Regents initiative, comes during a pivotal moment in the nation's history when the country appears ready to address its long history of racism and bigotry. So they want to tell you on one hand that CRT is not being taught in the schools because it has to do with how racism has impacted the law and how it's always been embedded in the history of our country, right? But they tell you it's not being talked about. It's not being talked about public education, K-12. It's not a part of the curriculum, public education, K-12. And meanwhile, the DEI framework and the policy and the suggestions and the directives are telling teachers, districts, educators, administrators to address the nation's long history of racism and bigotry. And then you go forward in this article. They flip the script in this article, too. So they go, we're not talking about this. CRT is not in public schools because CRT is this. And by the way, DEI is also this, and we have to teach it. Okay, here's again. The outrage over CRT has caused headaches for some educators, many of whom are unfairly targeted simply for doing their jobs and teaching fact-based American history. Can you, Kevin, give us a heads up on what, how grounded in fact is the 1619 Project?
Well, it's been disputed by, 6 or 7 left-wing Pulitzer Prize-winning historians, most notably Gordon Wood, who is so left-wing, he was quoted in a Matt Damon movie. He was quoted in Good Will Hunting. That's how left-wing Gordon Wood is.
Oh, my gosh.
It's just, it's all assertions, the 1619 Project. Every person that has read it has called it bad history. It's such bad history that the New York Times had to retroactively, or I'm sorry, not the New York Times, the New Yorker had to go back in afterwards and edit the whole damn thing. Yet Nicole Hannah-Jones is somehow a professor of journalism at the University of North Carolina. She's so oppressed that she's a contributor at the New York Times on MSNBC. Full scholarship to Notre Dame. If that's oppressed, please oppress me.
Yeah, please, let's do it. Andy Pallotta, the NYSUT president, explained, quote, they're encouraging their followers to run for local... I wonder who he's talking about. They're encouraging their followers to run for local school boards to push out pro-public education school board members and undermine public trust in our already underfunded public schools.
You want to read the beginning of that sentence again?
Yes. They're encouraging their followers to run for local school boards to push out pro-public education school board members and undermine public trust in our already underfunded public schools.
Our already underfunded public schools. Underfunded?
Yes.
Are you kidding me? How about you don't pay teachers who are 75 years old $200,000 a year?
Your superintendent's making $410,000 a year, more than the president of the United States.
The superintendent at Comac currently makes more than Pete Alonso, and he ain't hit a single home run.
The polar bear.
The polar bear. He hasn't hit a single damn home run. Dr. James, hello. Congrats on the retirement. You radical.
Yeah.
I got appointed head of the Staten Island school, head of the Staten Island education department by Comrade Big Bird, but he's not a radical. Because, we all know communists don't appoint their radical friends to do radical things.
No, of course not. The outrage over CRT has caused headaches for some educators, many of whom are unfairly targeted simply for doing their jobs and teaching fact-based American history. A shared, honest understanding of the past bridges divides and gives students the skills they need to better understand and help develop solutions to societal problems, which is an important part of creating a nation of informed citizens. Again, they use these words very loosely. They only want you to be informed on their side of the issue. They will not. There's no diversity of thought here. There's no diversity of opinion here.
We get this crap a lot from stupid pundits on the left that people aren't being taught about slavery or Japanese internment camps. I went to high school 15 years ago.
Right. I learned about it.
I learned about it. Did you learn about it in the chat?
Did
you guys learn about it? Did you guys learn about slavery? Did you learn about Jim Crow? Did you learn about... Obviously, I learned about segregation and Jim Crow because I see it happening again today.
And I have an interesting question for you. Do you think that, speaking of internment camps, do you think that in these schools they're teaching the kids about the Uyghur concentration camps in China?
No.
Do you think that's what... Because you want to talk about slavery, right? You want to talk about slave labor. LeBron James wants to make comments about slavery. Meanwhile, the shoes that he's wearing, the clothes that he's wearing were probably made by a child slave somewhere in China or Indonesia or Vietnam or Korea or wherever the hell it is. You've got Muslims, Uyghurs in China being family separation, right? We heard that that's a bad thing in this country. Family separate. They're being separated from their kids, put into forced labor camps in China, folks. China. Okay? I don't think they're teaching that in school.
Do you think that they're learning about how... Do you know what the number one commodity is in Afghanistan right now?
Women.
Teenage girls.
Kids.
Teenage girls.
Yep.
Right? That's the number one export to the world.
Thank you, Taliban.
They're selling a bunch of 8th century barbaric goat herders.
Yeah.
Oh no, but these are the people that we're going to bring to the world stage.
And we're going to possibly admit them to the UN. That's great.
You can't admit the Taliban to the United Nations because the Taliban
is not a nation. Oh, correct.
But you think they're teaching that in schools? Do you think they're teaching the fact that, 9/11 probably wouldn't have happened if we just let Palestine destroy Israel?
Yeah.
Do you think they're teaching that?
Of course not.
Do you think they're teaching that everything that's ever happened in the Middle East was America's fault? Like when we saved them from the Soviets?
Right.
Do you think they're teaching that in school?
Of course not.
No, of course not. I want to know how American history changed in the last 15 years.
Yep.
That's what I want to know. And I asked one of my high school teachers when we went to Comac how it changed, and he looked at me all confused. What was there? What about the education I received 15 years ago was insufficient to the point that we had to change it now?
Right.
What about that? What about the books that we read in English class? The classics, Gatsby.
Right.
Why do we have to
change it?
Why do we have to change it? What? And you're not changing it. And and this is very important. I would have no problem if they were changing these books for good authors. You
but
want to
they're
have
not.
you
They're
want to have
not.
you want to have more diverse authors? Fine. Read James Baldwin. Read Thomas Sowell. Read those books.
Thomas Sowell.
The fact is that you're being read Ibram Kendi, who's an idiot.
Right.
He's just not bright.
And the information that they're putting out there and giving to the kids has been debunked by Pulitzer. You talk about following experts. I got two more things in this article because we're almost done here. But remember, they told you CRT, what it was, right? Progressive legal scholars seeking to address the role of racism. It's a social construct that's embedded to our legal systems and policies. They tell you that's what CRT is. It's not in the K-12 classroom. We know that's not true. Hello, Middle Country. Those of you who went to that Civic Association meeting saw the worksheet. 3 words on top, critical race theory. It's in the schools, okay? The state education department recently released a framework on diversity, equity, and inclusion. It encourages school boards to establish diversity, equity, and inclusion committees. We know those are trouble. And by the way, if you guys have the opportunity to get on those committees and find out what's going on, okay?
And buy a copy machine.
Yes, and yes. Diversity, equity, and inclusion committees and policies to use inclusive and culturally responsive practices and curricula that acknowledge the impact of racism and bigotry in America. So there it is again. That is the backbone, the spine of critical race theory. It's right here. The union is telling you we're not teaching CRT, but we're teaching CRT. Okay? They want to tell you that we're spreading misinformation. They're admitting everything that we've been saying in their own propaganda. Okay, while taking little jabs. Again, we applaud the regions for their continued dedication to strong diversity, equity, and inclusion policies and practices that, with community input and support, can help school districts better support every student academically, socially, and emotionally, said Pallotta. And this is what really ticks me off. You want to get mad, parents? Listen to this. As professionals, educators believe that all students deserve honesty in education. So far, that's okay. That's fine, said Abraham. Educators, not pundits or politicians, know best how to design age-appropriate lessons for students. Notice they said educators, not parents, not the people who spend all day with their children, not the ones who are raising the kids, teaching them right from wrong. Educators are in charge. Educators are in charge. You can't say a damn thing because you're not an educator. You don't play football, you can't comment on what happens on a football field. You can't call WFA in and say that Zach Wilson sucks because he does, right? You can't make those claims like Kevin said that Saquon Barkley hasn't scored a touchdown in probably 3 decades. All right, yesterday, and you know,
but we talked about this at the college level. We talked about it last week with radicals like Bill Ayers and Bernardine Dorn. They realized these left-wing communist radicals could not get their revolution from the outside. So what did they do? They came from the inside. They came from the inside. 2 terrorists teach at the University of Chicago, one of our most elite institutions. So you don't think the people that they're teaching are taking that exact playbook and doing it from inside of the schools? We saw it with the Project Veritas video out in Sacramento. That high school teacher had 180 days to turn his students into revolutionaries. Mm-hmm. You think he's the only one?
Of course not.
You think he's the only one? You think Project Veritas just happened to find the only radical teacher in all? There's like 2 million teachers in America.
I think what happened is they went fishing in a big pond and they just happened to catch a fish. That's what happened. Because, And again, we have unions that believe this crap and then impose this crap. One more thing, and this is going to drive Kevin crazy. Quote, no matter their color, background, or zip code. Now, the E in DEI stands for equity, right? Which means equal outcome, right? Equality of outcome, equity, right? No matter their color, background, or zip code, all students deserve an equal shot at success in our schools. That's not equity. That's
not
equality.
Yo, like, I keep...
I knew it was going to drive me nuts. That's why I waited for that.
Like, why would they change the word if they weren't trying to change the meaning?
Right.
This is not hard.
There's 2 words for a reason. There's equity and there's equality for a reason. There's different words because, Kevin, they mean different things.
Like, and when I asked that idiot at the Mount Sinai School District,
he gave you the homina.
Literally, I was like, why do you keep saying equity and not equality? She was like, well, they mean this. I was like, no, they don't.
That's why there's 2 words.
Right. So she said equity like 30 times in her little presentation, and then I asked her to define equity. If she hadn't cut me off the damn mic, I'd have been like, if I was in your class, would I have failed this project? Or would I have gotten an equitable grade.
There you go.
Would have gotten an equitable grade. It's a race to the bottom, people, and we see it in everything these people do. You take from the top because you want to rise up the bottom. That is not how that works.
Not how it works.
Not how it works. Striving for excellence should put you on top, because there were some people in high school, me being one of them, who screwed around and didn't want to work. I wanted to have fun and play sports. That was it.
That's it.
I should not have gotten the same grades as people who worked their asses off.
That's it. And that's what merit-based versus this whole equity thing. That starts with an education that imparts honesty about who we are, integrity, and how we treat others, and that has the courage to do what's right to build a better nation and future. See that? A better nation and future. Who determines what's better? It's these people, their agenda, what they want to install on the nation. Again, this is propaganda, folks. There are people in this union, the person who sent this, right, who don't believe this stuff. But anybody who's a member of this union is getting this. They're getting this propaganda. They're getting this information. They're reading this information, and they're being brainwashed to support this union because, they get good benefits or something, right? They don't want to screw the union over. They're protecting their job. But they're radicals. This is communist, guys. This is terrible. Nice, it's Many Threads, One Fabric initiative. Offers a slate of regular programming examining racial justice, diversity, and equity issues. It also provides training for school community members in the areas of implicit bias, that's a ridiculous test, microaggressions, and stereotypes. For more information, visit nysut.org/manythreads. I encourage all of you guys to read that.
Microaggressions. Oh, they used to just be called saying something mean.
Yeah, now it's microaggressions.
Now it's a term.
Yep.
Or implicit bias. A bias you have but don't know you have. So if you don't know you have it, then how do you know you can fix it? You're chasing a ghost of a ghost.
Yep.
All this crap. This has been going on for years, and I'm so happy that people are finally starting to wake up to this crap.
And folks, I'm going to give you something that surprised the heck out of me yesterday. I was looking at some some stats, okay, on Facebook, and I want to give a shout out to the moms and to the women out there, because 70% of our followers on Facebook are women, and that is a demographic that when you talk about right of center politics, has been very tough to reach. Okay, and we have reached them, and they have come to us, and we have worked hand in hand with them. Moms for Liberty, Show Me Your Face, Save Our Schools, all of these different things, and all of these different groups, Unmask the Kids, whether they're from Long Island or not, whether they're from Carmel, like Tatiana Ibrahim, who was one of the first people to start speaking out at school board meetings. Right? It doesn't matter. Those stats blew my mind. 70% of our followers are women. 30% of our followers are men. There are a lot of pissed off parents right now that don't want to see this happen to their kids. So to the moms, to the women, to the parents, to the dads too, to the aunts, the uncles, to all of you guys who care so much about this, and we care so much about this too, even though we don't have kids, right? And that doesn't matter. That's like saying to any white Black Lives Matter protester, why are you doing that? You're not black, right? No one would ever say that to a white Black Lives Matter protester, okay? But to all you guys, that blew my mind yesterday.
Why are you protesting abortion?
Right.
You're not a fetus.
Right, you're alive. You know what I mean? But
that's to an animal rights activist.
To all those people, thank you guys for following. Please do us a favor. You guys are watching on YouTube. You guys are watching on Facebook. Please hit the share button. Share the show. Please, please, please. We would really appreciate it. Head to loudmajorityus.com. Sign up for the newsletter. I know we ran a little long today, but I wanted to get through this nice hit stuff. Tomorrow, Southside High School, 7:30 p.m., Rockville Center, school board meeting. Come one, come all, be civil, be composed, be professional. It's a big day to see what's going on over there, and I highly, highly, highly encourage you to attend and support the parents of Rockville Center.
Yep, and Friday morning we're gonna have some updates on scheduling for next week. We got a big week next week. Does the loud majority?
Yes, we do.
We've got a big old week. We're gonna be broadcasting live from somewhere else. Somewhere out west. And you may
in the desert.
You may see some faces you know.
I can't.
You may see some faces you know.
You might.
So we got
some
some big scheduling stuff coming up next week. Going to be a kick-ass week.
Yep.
Guys, thank you so much for supporting us. If you're on Facebook, make sure you hit that follow button. Go to your group, go to your page drop down accept the invite to
Yep.
follow the page.
Yep.
And help us get to where we need to be so that we can bring you the content you want to hear.
Exactly. Yes, thank you guys so much for your unending support. We really appreciate it. I'm sorry we ran a little long today, but I wanted to get through this propaganda. There's obviously a lot of stuff that got us upset. You guys know it. In the chat, the 4 words that we say over and over and over again until the people get it or get the people in power get it or get the hell out of the way. Folks in the chat, let me hear you say it real quick. Once again, head over to youtube.com/Long Island Loud Majority. Long Island Loud Majority on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Facebook.com, Long Island Loud Majority. Twitter.com @LI Loud Majority. Instagram.com @Loud Majority. And the 4 words that we say over and over and over again.
Yeah, you guys know
until
it.
the people in power get it or get the hell out of the way, or we will not comply. We will be back Friday morning, 7 a.m. Until then, thank you guys so much for kicking it with us on this early Wednesday morning. Thank you. God bless you. God bless America. Stop complying and stay loud.